is what's going on?
Well, that's one that he had originally asked me that he's quite the golfer. I am not, and he had planned an outing back on Father's Day, and of course the courses were closed at that time. So he said we postpone it, and I said, why don't we wait till November? And but actually, with the weather being what it's supposed to be today, 71 degrees, it seemed perfect. So we're going out in about an hour and a half.
Okay. So you postponed it till November, hoping the weather would be too bad to actually go with them, and now the weather's really good. And
I actually postponed my time so I could sit in on Freedom One this morning and
thank you.
Tribute to Gale.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Hello, Merv.
Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone.
Marvin, this is Ken. Thank you again for the call the other day.
Yes, sir. In fact, I need to talk with you a little bit later, so text me your number.
I will do that.
Morning, Bruce. Morning, Jim. Morning, Matt.
Morning, Rock. How are you? Everybody else, how are you?
Good morning, Freedom One.
Good morning, Scott. I don't see you, but I hear that deep voice.
Radio voice, Scott.
Morning, Katie. Good morning, John. Too late to do. You could do a garage floor today, John. Easily.
I may have one scheduled. Depends on if he can get the drywall out of his garage.
Yeah, perfect weather to get a garage floor. How long does it take to dry once you put it down? Does it have to stay above a certain temperature for a period of time?
Yeah. So it depends on the ambient temperature. Maybe about 6 or 7 hours before I could you can walk on it. Usually 24 hours.
Okay.
And I coat it again.
And how about driving on it? How long does it take till you can put your car in the garage?
Once I'm done, about 48 hours.
Okay.
Depending on the temperature.
Yeah.
And taking requests. I love it.
I want to give everybody a chance to jump on here at 7:30, but we're going to have Carol and Scott go first, just honoring Gale. They have a little celebration of life that they want to do. And while they're doing that, we'll just take a couple moments to, if anybody has any comments or just anything they'd like to share, just kind of prepare your mind or your hearts for that. We'll leave some space for that. So it's 7:31. So one of the things that is important to us at Freedom One is just making sure that we start on time and finish on time, say please and thank you, and finish what we start. So those are just, we feel that at the Trinnell Financial Group, if you do those 4 things, start on time, finish on time, say please and thank you, and finish what you start, that you'll get lots of referrals. And so we want to keep our reputation for being good on time. So welcome everybody to our post-election Freedom One networking event. But more importantly, I'm going to turn it. Am I going to turn over to Carol or to Scott? Who's going to whoever wants to just jump in and.
Pat will he'll read the tribute and then I'll play a video.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Well, thanks everyone. We're going to depart from our normal chamber info that we give out on a weekly basis. We've had kind of a difficult week with the loss of one of our board members. So I've got something that I want to read to you. It is with great sadness that we announce GLMV Vice Chair Gale Cohen-Demarco, 73, of Lake Barrington, passed away peacefully on November 1, 2020, with her husband, Pete, and her son, Brock, at her bedside in Elgin, Illinois. Gale, born in Rochester, New York, was loved and cherished by all, including family and many, many friends. The public is invited to safely participate and pay their respects to Gale and her family on a drive-through style visitation on Friday, November 6th from 1 to 3 p.m. at their home at 27621 West Lakeview Drive, North Barrington, Illinois. All that information is on our website. Gale was a trailblazer in many aspects of her life. She was a team leader and a franchise owner with her husband, Pete, of Sports Clip Libertyville and several other sports clips for the past 10 years. She was a huge advocate of the 7 chambers she belonged to, instrumental in nearly all GLMV activities, committees, events, Freedom One, and many communities, and she loved it all. All of those who knew her will agree Gale was an amazing lady with a beautiful smile. Passion to assist others, business leader, super mentor, networker, animal lover, and shining light. Gale will be greatly missed. She has been one of our most active and dedicated board members, bringing great knowledge and insight. From our chairman, Karen K. Lavris, Gale was a great impact on everybody she knew. She was never too busy to share a kind word, catch up on the latest news, and make new connections. May her memory live on. She'll be in our hearts forever when we send our thoughts and prayers to her family. In Gale's words, we love you dearly. The family has asked for donations in her honor to your favorite animal charity. Got a quick little quote for you that I think is kind of epitomizes Gale. It's hard to forget someone who gave you so much to remember. Thanks, everyone.
That was really nice. Thanks, Carol, and thanks, Scott, for sharing that with all of us. I remember Gail just being crazy generous with her coupons or her gift certificate for clips. We would give them away early on for Freedom One, and she would all I had to do was just come over and she'd hand me 3 or 4 to give out. And so my memory of her is just going to be tremendous, tremendous.
I'd say she loved you guys so much and loved Freedom One and never missed a meeting. She thought the world of everybody there. And she told us that all the time.
And a great friend to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else just have anything they want to share or just any thoughts about Gail? This would be an appropriate time to do that. Just unmute yourself and chime in if you want to. If not, it's okay too.
Yeah, Gail and I had some chats at the Lake Zurich Chamber just a few months ago. We had a rare meeting, and she's very warm and very caring, and I'm totally shocked. My heart goes out with her family and everyone else that she's touched.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very saddened.
I know around Veterans Day, everybody does a little something, but Gail just always went above and beyond for the veterans, especially around Veterans Day, just treating them with respect, the haircuts. I told her just a few weeks ago, she was teasing me about my hair, and I said, oh, I'm letting it grow just so I can come over by you to get a haircut. And now I guess I just got to let it grow. So, but she was an amazing woman.
I was going to suggest as a tribute to Gail that when the time comes that Freedom One returns to the Trinnell office, that we leave that chair close by the doorway open for her.
How awesome is that?
Maybe even put a picture of her in it.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Yeah.
I received many haircuts from Gale. I was a charter member at Sports Clips, and I even did a little leprechaun dance for the girls over there, and they all loved it. And they all really, she was a tremendous leader and support for all her girls and guys that worked at Sports Clips. And Gail and I had a lot of laughs together. And so she'll be remembered and very missed. Her smile and her friendly, just loving everyone.
Mhm.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Trinell, for letting us meet such great people and having the opportunity to meet Gail initially.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'd like to jump in there and just echo the comment about Gail's warmth. Oftentimes, in the early days of attending Freedom One, I would sit next to Gail there by the door. It was just a nice place to be, and if I wanted to get up and leave early, I could do so. Not that I did very often, but sitting next to Gail was just a really wonderful thing. She was warm to me. She sort of confided in me, and we talked about her time when she worked in the pharmaceutical industry, and which was similar to my background. So that's what sticks out to me, is her warmth and her ability to make a connection. And so oftentimes when you're going to a brand new networking group or an event where you don't know a lot of people, to be able to make a connection to one person who then to some degree personifies the essence of that group really makes a difference. And so Gail did that for Freedom One for me. So much thoughts for her. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to say one thing, and that is that, as we network, there are people that come and people that go, and some people stay around, and they leave footprints in your heart. And Gail is one of those people. I was totally shocked by the news, but we'll miss you.
Thanks, Scott.
I wanted to say that I'm very sad and like everyone else, shocked to hear it. How many times, I don't know, for me, it's just ringing in my head, how many times I've said, hey, we have to get together and do a one-on-one. And I'm really sad that I always said that to her, didn't get a chance to do that. So the message is, you never know when your number is going to be called. So if you said you were going to get together with someone, do it, because you missed the opportunity to have another friend. So Rock, thanks for being Freedom One.
You're welcome. Welcome, man.
Is that everyone over there? I don't know how big the group is, really. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Everybody that's in the group that's there?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm a little broken up, so it'll probably be brief, but my mom worked hard, and work was pretty much like her life, to be honest. But I know she always talked about the chambers and how much she cared about everybody and how you guys were like really special to her. And I know that she's looking down and would be honored by this tribute. So I really, really appreciate it, everybody. It's very kind. I'm sorry, I'm trying to hold together, but it's not easy. So, but yeah, like you said, you never know when it's gonna go, and you treasure every moment, hug your sister, your daughter, your brother, your husband, wife, and just live every moment that you can, because you never know. But again, like, I know that this would mean so much to her, and she loved all you guys and really cared about you, and she'll always be with you. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for joining us. Just what a cool tribute to your mom to see all this love pour out for her. It's just pretty awesome.
It is awesome.
I know you're proud of her, and we're proud to have her as our friend and everything that she's done. So thank you for sharing your mom with us.
And thank you for taking the time to make friends with her. That's really special. So it means a lot to me.
You're welcome.
Cool. Well, I think I'm gonna jump off so I can continue to cry over here. But I really appreciate it, and I hope everyone can show up on Friday that has time. I understand that work is work. So, but yeah, hopefully we'll see as many as you can there, and just keep her in your heart, everybody.
Will do. Thank you. Blessings to you.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, Brian.
Bye-bye.
I think one of the great things that we can do in honor of Gale, since she was such a hard worker and her work life was really important to her, is just, throughout our day, just as we work, just honor her. Today's work is about honoring Gale and putting in that extra work to do that. So, yeah, how do you jump to the next thing, right? So, yeah. So let's continue on with Freedom One in an honorable and respectful way, in light of Gale's light that she shined upon us. I don't know I don't know the transition to go from that to Dan, but now's the time to do the business share. And so, Dan, can you lift us up? You're going to lift us up with music. Music is a way to express ourselves and to move the soul. And so, Dan, I'm going to turn it over to you. This is your opportunity to share with the group your business. And I know you're going to do that with music, and we're excited to hear what you have to say. So I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Rock, and condolences to all of Gale's friends and network. And the Greeks taught music and astrology as two sides of the same coin. Astrology was the study of large external movable objects. Music was the study of large internal immovable objects. And I've been an entertainer all my life, but I know the power of music. So let's just transition with some really quiet music right now, and then I'll see where the spirit moves me. Wow. Gale sounds like she had some great love in her heart, and we were all honored to be in her circle. How sweet it is to be loved by you. If you know it, sing it with me. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Let it out. Let it out. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Once more. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Needed the shelter of someone's loving arms, and there you were. I needed this someone to protect me from those ups and downs. There you were, with sweet love and devotion, deeply touching my emotions. I just wanted to stop And thank you, baby. I want to stop. And thank you, baby. Now help me sing it, y'all. How sweet it is to be loved by you. If you're worried about singing the wrong note, just hit your mute button. Now sing it. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Even if you're not singing, pretend like you are. You're gonna feel better. Go. How sweet it is to be loved by you. One more now. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Yes, music does help us move. Music helps us move. God rest you, Gale. What a great spirit. I'm going to share a screen right now. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you, George Schwabe, for inviting me to this group, and Rock for running such a great group. Thanks, Kim, for helping me get set up. And Jordan, I really appreciate the conversation we had the other day. I'm Dan. I'm the piano man. I've been doing this for a long time. And with all the changes going on, I know we can still get together, even if we're going to be able to connect, even if we can't get together in person. Real quick, I know you guys don't know me. I grew up in Mount Prospect. I graduated from St. Viator. If I can move this over. I graduated from St. Viator in 77 over in Arlington Heights, and graduated from college up at UIC. I took 7 years to graduate from college because of that one night in New Orleans that lasted about 3 years. I really did learn how my craft down there with some wonderful musicians, some great piano players. Don't ask me their names. They were very helpful to me. I learned to play piano first. I figured out I could get paid more when I learned how to sing, but I made the money when I became an entertainer. I really do love entertaining. Front of the house speaker, I do corporate events, or did corporate events, MC at fundraisers, promotional videos, and I did a ton of the writing on many of these gigs so I could customize your message. More about that later. I started, the main thing is I can get up and I can get your message out. I do it with words and music. I got started in the blues scene in Chicago, working the festival circuit with Coco. Sugar Blue was a good friend of mine. I got to work with Wishbone Ash and many, many other local bands. Pine Top Perkins befriended me. So did Sonny. They both played with Muddy Waters. Really, really helpful. And my good friend Erwin Helfer, who still lives over on Magnolia in Lincoln Park. Please remember Erwin in your prayers. He's having a real tough time dealing with all these changes. Real gentleman of jazz. Because of these guys, I was able to build a solid foundation of recording contracts and recording resume. I work with all kinds of different bands and produce my own albums, both as a piano player and a writer. The jingle scene was very alive and well in the 80s in Chicago. I worked in Sears and all these different products, Hormel. And yes, folks, I did actually work on a jingle for Spam. This was where I learned it, from these guys. I was constantly playing gigs, wedding bands. My brother and I had a great band in the early 80s, but in 1986, I got a call to fill in on a touring date. I was to go on the road for 3 weeks with a theater company here in Chicago, and that gig lasted 10 years. I became the music director at Second City. As they expanded beyond North and Wells, I helped open the Rolling Meadows Theater in '88. I was out in Santa Monica for opening there. And then I eventually came back to North and Wells, where I was the music director at the Second City ETC. There I learned the craft of writing comedy, writing music, and writing scripts. I also learned from the vast archives of the alumni. The alumni have constantly been reaching out to us to be able to show us how to do this thing. There's Dave Pasquazi, Joel Murray. I worked with a bunch of the Murray brothers. Brian Doyle was really a big help to me as Scott Adsit. I guess this is where I get to name drop, but I think I'll just show you the pictures instead. Richard Kind is still a wonderful friend and a great golfer too. I love playing golf with him because there's never a dull moment. Steve Colbert, Adam McKay, the Oscar winner, Bonnie Hunt, also the directors too. There was Del Close. Here's Fred Kaz. He was the piano player there. He's the one on the left. He was at the main stage. Ruby was also on the main stage after Fred left. Fred was our music director at Second City for over 25 years, and he really taught me not just how to work a room, with the music, but also he was a great composer. And oh my God, he could write a lyric. Oh, he was brilliant with a lyric. May he rest in peace. Bernie Solins was the founder, and Sheldon Patinkin. They both gave me writing gigs when I didn't even think they knew who I was. So from there, during that 10-year period, I was able to get the opportunity to work in Hollywood. I wrote music on movie scores, commercials, scripts for corporate events, scripts for TV shows. I got tired of the LA scene when the TV show I was working on got canceled, and I've stayed in Chicago ever since then. In 1996, I came back and I started learning Billy Joel and Elton John songs so I could make a living as a piano bar entertainer. Dueling Pianos was one of our best-selling products. Again, corporate gigs and conventions came through for us. Writing these shows and producing these shows was something that we did. When I say we, I mean me and this lovely lady. That's my wife, Amber, back in '88. We've been together a long, long time. She has been the accountant, the producer, the manager, and logistics, all tied into one amazing bundle of goddess. Amber and I have been able to raise 4 kids. They're all adults now. I worked as an entertainer around Chicago, and then whenever I took off on the road, I was only gone for a couple of days so I could come back. We are now grandparents. We have a grandson, and if I were to put his picture up here, he is so cute, we would stop talking about me, and I don't want that to happen. After the kids were grown up, I wound up catching a gig on a cruise ship, so I was able to travel the Caribbean, the Mediterranean. I did that for about 2.5 years. I was a headliner for Norwegian. Oh my God, what a wonderful experience to work with these Broadway caliber artists and dancers and singers and writers and producers, and it was great. It was phenomenal for me. And Amber and I got to travel around. We hung out in Barcelona for a while. That was a very vibrant music scene, but Chicago was home. We're back here. And like I said, you know, if we can't get together, you know, we can still connect. And I use music as a hybrid now. It's a hybrid of, we're not doing virtual events. And honestly, folks, it's been like a mourning period. A 40-year career gone in like 15 days. My entire schedule decimated. And but I don't look at this pandemic as something that happened to me. I look at it as something that happened for me. And that's why I really like being a part of this group. You guys keep your eyes focused and keep your eyes focused on service. So thanks for letting me share a little bit about what I do. I am ultra creative. I'm not sure where this is going to lead. I know the power of music. I know how it works for us, especially in times like this, when we're experiencing loss and change. I look forward to how the music is going to work, but I'm really not too attached to it at this point. So I've been just trying different products. You know, I'm not the best piano player. I'm not the best singer. I'm not the best producer, but I probably am the best marketed piano player. I consider myself a marketing guy more than a piano player. Yes, piano playing is my passion. Yes, I'm still producing. I'm still writing and putting out product, but what's next? And I'm not sure. So thanks, George, for inviting me into this group and then allowing me to take this slot, because it's forced me to crystallize what it is that will be next for me. As a thank you, I just want to do one more quick little thing right here, because I know how much music moves. I know how much we all go through these changes. And I want to make a quick toast. If you raise your smoothie, if you raise your cup, I want to make a toast to the greatest republic in the history of mankind. God bless America. Because we were singing, bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. Yes, music helps us adjust to changes, and Lord knows we've been looking at a lot of changes this week. So, if you will join me, oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited. All right, you know it. Let me hear you sing it. Go. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining. bless you. God bless America. I'm Dan. I'm the piano man. Thank you for letting me share.
Dan, thank you for sharing with us. It was a tough transition to go from Gale's tribute to that, so you did a really great job. So thank you. Tell us a little bit about how your business model works. Obviously, you'd like to engage with us to have us do something. You're going to provide some value to us, and we're going to write you a check. Share with us how that works.
We're doing virtual events, so we are still custom writing for messages. It's just, I'm not sure if it's really connected in the marketplace. You know, I'm an idea guy. I will put up all kinds of ideas, but unless the market actually reminds me what is valuable, it's just a good idea. So we're looking at a couple of different things. The holiday season's coming up. Let's gather together. Even if we're going to have to gather remotely with our loved ones, I can come on over for a half hour, and I was able to show you how music helps us feel differently. Yes, we're feeling a lot of emotions because of loved ones we're not going to be able to be next to, but we can still connect with them in this medium, and I'm set up to do it. Also, too, one of the things, and George and I were talking about this earlier, was gifts. I can write songs, so I've been testing something on Facebook, anniversary songs. Just give me a couple. You got an anniversary coming up and you'd like to do something special. You can't go out for dinner anymore. You can't really go out to the theater or to the movie. I know Amber and I love to go out for dinner and movies. So here's a special gift. Give me a couple specific details about how you get that, what your favorite meal is, and I will write a custom 60-second song for you. I can do it for birthdays, and they're wonderful holiday gifts too. So I'm just trying different things. I would be able to see if it worked for you guys because I'm not sure what the price point is. So I'll put a tag in there for a form if you guys are interested, and I'll be able to do that for you. And I need to figure out what the marketplace is going to decide. You guys would be able to help me do that while I can give you a wonderful gift and give you the gift of memory for your events coming up.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate your authenticity. And, you know, Kim, I think we're hearing some feedback from somebody. Can you make sure that that we're good there? So, Dan, thank you for your authenticity, walking this journey with you and helping figure out what your business is going to look like in 2 or 6 months from now. So we appreciate that. And let me just reassure you, this group is very candid about giving feedback. So you'll get that.
I'll feel right at home, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. So put your information in the chat room, and then people will have a way to connect with you. And thanks for being a part of our group. Jordan, I'm going to start the ultimate resource next. Jordan, do you have anything you just want to share or go over before we?
Well, I'd just like to thank Dan for his presentation here, and just let everyone know I had a conversation with Dan earlier this week. I would highly encourage everyone to reach out to him. He's got a lot of cool stories about his background, and also he's got a really good marketing mind. So if you're struggling with a message to your customers, reach out to Dan. He could help you get the wheels turning in the right direction, and maybe think about your marketing in a little different way than you have before. So talk to Dan. It will be worth your time.
Thank you, Jordan. So I'm going to share, we were going to have Sarah from the Lake County Sheriff's Department speak today and talk about their program and their Christmas or holiday program that they put on for underprivileged children in Lake County. But just due to all the readiness that they need to be doing right now, she was not able to be a part of our group this morning. So we'll bring her back in the next couple sessions. Kim's in charge of that. But I wanted to share with you some thoughts, and I have 4 main thoughts that I'd like to share with you. So if you just have pen and paper, just some way to document what I'm going to share, I think it would just be really, really helpful for you. And today is not about one long story. Today is about 4 stories that I'm going to share with you about conversations I've had with entrepreneurs and business owners earlier this week that kind of wrap around all the craziness with the election that's been happening. And my thought this week as I met with people to coach them and consult them was simply just to meet them where they're at. One gentleman, Gilbert, I was going to talk to, had this template. I was going to go over his business plan, his marketing plan, and he just texted me beforehand just saying he's having an issue with one of his team members. And I could have done all the P&L stuff, but I just tell his mind wasn't there. He wanted some help with this other stuff. So I'm going to share 4 situational stories about how I helped people think through or just think past where they were at, their current mindset, and get them to thinking a little bit different. And I hope this helps all of us here on the call. And my hope is that in reaching 1 billion people, your mindset will be changed for the better, be thinking bigger, and influence your team and influence your clients or patients or customers, however you deal with them. So the first one I'll share with you, I was talking to a gentleman and he just said, Rock, I wish things would be easier. I just think things would get simple or more predictable. And it feels like the world is really fast today. And I think we can all appreciate that. I think there's a level of heaviness on all of us with everything that's going on with COVID and kids going to school and not going to school and the whole racial tension, the presidential election, just everything that's going on with business and the uncertainty. For some people it's thin and some people it's thicker, but there's a layer of heaviness on all of us. And I think there's people that are saying, I just wish things would be simple or back to the way that they were. But here's what I shared with this person. As leaders, we have to be willing to accept big problems, because with big problems comes big money. If you're wishing for small problems, you're going to have small money. So if you're just going to write this down, just write down, as leaders, big problems equals big money. Small problems equals small money. So what we want to do is really hope that the complex situations, the problems come to us. And then our goal is through just preparing for those, just strengthening our mind for those as leaders, through whether it's Live to Lead or the Global Leadership Summit or whatever podcast you are connected to. But throughout the day, throughout the week, just strengthen our mind, strengthen our leadership journey, so when the big problems come, they just seem a little bit easier for us because we have a way of dealing with those. We have a way of handling them. We want big problems because big problems equals big money. Small problems, predictability, simplicity, things always being the same, that's small money. Okay, so that's kind of the thought. And I just shared that with this person. It just was, wow, that's just a different way to look at it. We want big clients. We want big patients. We want big customers with big problems. We solve those, we get to make really good money. Another conversation that I had with somebody, they said, Rock, you always seem confident regardless of what's happening with the world around. And I get just as frustrated with things not working that other people do. My confidence when I was early in my career came from what I thought had to be, I had to know the answer. Like my confidence came from, well, I know that answer. But the reality is when you're dealing with bigger problems, there's no way you're going to know all those answers. Like there is no way. And if somebody tells you they know those answers, they're not being authentic with you. But my confidence today does not come from knowing the answer. My confidence today comes from knowing I'll get the answer. So that's my second point, that if you're going to write something down, confidence comes from knowing you will get the answer. And the questions comes from, well, how do you know where you're going to get the answer from? Well, young people, you know where young people get all the answer from? Google, of course. But it's really from you folks. It's from the group of people, the community that I've assembled around me, that I know if I need something about this, that, or whatever industry, I have somebody I can go to and at least start the conversation to get a basis, and then use my experience to guide someone. My confidence comes from knowing I have a community, and from there I will figure it out. Not from me knowing the answer, because you just can't today. There's just too much information out there. And so how do you do that? We all have to get really good at asking really good questions. I'm really, really good today at getting deep with people really, really fast. I go deep really, really fast. I don't have time for this. I want to get to it. Sometimes that makes people feel uncomfortable, but by asking really good questions and then just saying, I don't know, I'll find that out. I'll figure that out. And I think people appreciate that. I think if you're the person that says, I know everything all the time, they're like, well, how can you know all that about taxes and investments and estate planning? There's no way, because there's specialties that are there, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3 has a little swear word in it, okay? So I apologize for this, but this is the real words that entrepreneurs use. So just, I'm gonna share it with you, but because I think it'll drive the point home. But we as entrepreneurs want freedom. Would you agree with that? We want freedom. Most of us are unemployable. We couldn't work in someone else's system. We would muck it up in the second week and want to change everything around and whatever. So most of us are unemployable. So as entrepreneurs and business owners, we want freedom. And how you have freedom is you have to have a really big go to hell fund. So that's number 3, go to hell fund. And as having a large amount of cash, savings, CDs, money markets, whatever, maybe actual $100 bills, we're going to have the freedom to tell any client where to go. We're going to have the freedom to tell any employee that's just creating stress and frustration in our lives, we're going to miss you. It's time for you to go find another employer. Time for you to be self-employed if you're so smart and have this all figured out. It's having enough money in our go-to hell fund is to be able to tell a vendor, we're going to miss you. Like, we're going to find another vendor. Or maybe tell your bank that's putting all these caveats on this loan, right? When you first start out, you're just happy to get the loan, and they put all these covenants on this, like every month, every this, can't do this, can't take out so much cash and whatever. And then you get enough cash, you still want to use your bank, you want to use other people's money. I think that's a smart financial decision to make. But you want to have enough cash to say, I'm not going to do that. We're not going to put this caveat on this or this covenant on this loan, right? And I think that is just a really, really good feeling once you get advanced in your business to have enough cash. Yes, you'll still probably still borrow some money if it makes sense. You got to work that out, whether it makes sense or not. But you want to have enough money so you really do have that freedom so you don't feel locked in. And what I have found, and Jordan has found, talking to entrepreneurs, going through this pandemic, going through the racial injustice, going through the election, going through everything that's happening, that's that layer of heaviness, is having a large amount of cash just gives people a sense of confidence that they're still in control and they still have freedom. So for personal financial planning or business, in your business, the rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months living expenses. That's what the College for Financial Planning, CFP, trains us to tell you as our clients that that's appropriate. After 2008, here at the Trinell Finance Group, we went to 6 to 9 months living expenses. We just thought it would be better to have a little bit more, even though interest rates are crazy low, just that cushion, that good feeling you get from having a little bit more in savings. Now, if you're going to have a go to hell fund for your business, you got to know that you can live your business. If your business did not bring on any new clients for 1 year, you're going to be okay. That's the go to hell fund amount for most businesses. It's a year's worth of operating expenses. That's a lot of money, but if you're an entrepreneur and you want to build freedom, that's the way to do that, okay? Let me jump into number 4. We'll do an overtime afterward. So if you guys want to stick around, I'll answer any questions that you have. I don't know if we're going to have time to do the breakout room, so maybe we'll just break into questions, Kim. But the go to hell fund is really important. Like, that's really, really important. And you need to prepare for that for the next cycle that we go through to do that. So how to think about the election. So obviously the election was on Tuesday. We're still waiting for some results. I was talking to one of my business entrepreneurs in near the Columbus, Ohio area, and he was commenting that Illinois was going to change their constitution, increase their corporate taxes, increase their individual taxes. And so on and so forth. And he wanted to know how I felt about that, how I was going to. And I said, here's my thought about any tax situation, whether Biden changes a lot of the regulations or whether Pritzker, it didn't go through in Illinois, as you guys know, but if it did go through, I was talking to him before we knew the results. My thought was every financial professional, every dentist, every real estate agent, every business in Illinois is going to be exposed to the exact same regulations. We have the level playing field if that were to pass in Illinois. So my thought is, then if that were to pass, as businesses, we would just all have to make 10% more income to pay for that tax that would go to the state of Illinois. And he's like, wow, I'm surprised you have such a positive outlook on that. You can't argue with the regulations coming and going. That's just a natural part of politics and where money goes and where power goes, and just get real comfortable with that and just say, look, every business, we're all equal now. If that were to go through, it didn't. If that were to go through, and maybe any new taxes that come through, depending on who our president is, if any new taxes come through, every business in the United States is going to be exposed to that exact same tax or regulation or whatever it is, way of doing things or shutdown. We as entrepreneurs, as Dan said, have to use our creativity to figure out how we're going to make more money to pay for that tax or to get around that regulation or however we do it. And now's the time to start thinking about that so we can be out front ahead of our competitors, but just know it's a level playing field. Every business is going to be exposed to that increased tax or that increased regulation that may come down the pike. Okay, so I just feel that we as business owners need to be creative and just start strategizing about that right now. Okay, let me tell you about our painter. We're getting the front of the building painted. I won't use the gentleman's name, but I would go out and just check on him. He's been our painter. Well, I don't even know how to tell the story without using his name. I won't use his last name. His name is Tom. And Tom's been painting for us probably for 25 years at home, at our different offices and stuff like that. Okay. And I can tell from talking to Tom, I'd go out and just look at his work, and he's doing really great work, and he wanted to show it to me. And my thought is he has a sense of urgency about going up and down this ladder and whether his body will allow that. I'm 56. I think he's right around my age, if I remember correctly. And he's hinting and talking to me about, Rock, I can't do this forever. My body will only allow me to do this another 10 years. And I felt like he's hinting or asking some questions. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give my opinion on this. And I said, Tom, it's simple. Right? The answer to this is really, really simple. If any of you are in a business that doesn't have residual income, this will apply to you, okay? I said, you have to own things. This is number 4. Number 5. You have to own things that make money while you sleep. That's what you want to write down. You have to own things that make you money while you sleep. There's two things that I'm aware of that have been proven. You can go to the internet, and there's probably 99 things, and I don't know really how many of them really work, but there's 2 things that I'm aware of that work for me that I'm going to share with you. The first one is real estate, and the second one is owning good US companies that pay dividends. If you own, let's just say Abbott Laboratories, they pay a little over a 2% dividend. Every quarter they pay a dividend. They pay you to own the company, to attract you, to invest your money in them. They pay you a dividend. It's paid every quarter, right? And they've consistently done that for 50 plus years. So you need to own things, and whether you're awake or sleeping or Tom's painting or Tom's not painting or Tom's hurt or Tom's on vacation, in my example, Abbott Laboratories, I'm not telling you to go out and buy Abbott. I'm just using an example because in our backyard, guess what they pay, whether you're awake or sleeping? Our tenants pay their rent on the first of the month, whether I'm on vacation, whether I'm here, who the president is, regardless of the regulations, all that stuff they pay the rent. And so Tom said, well, how much do I need to start saving, right? How much do I need to start saving? And I said, Tom, probably at your age, if you took 30% of what you made and earmarked that for retirement, and some of that went into companies or some of that went into real estate, you would probably be appropriate for your age. Now, I'm not telling you guys 30% is the right number. I don't know your financial situation, but that's a kind of a number to think about and start thinking about. Well, Tom's mind went to the dark side. So Tom, we're talking about rentals. He said, well, what if your tenants wrecked the place? What if you just went all the dark side? What if? And all I did with Tom is, I said, Tom, what if you bid a job and the paint soaks into wood more than you thought it would, and you have to buy more paint for the job than you thought? He goes, well, I would just make a little bit less money on that job. I said, well, what if, I just went into what if, and he's like, well, figure it out. I said, Tom, that's the exact same thing that happens when you own rental properties. You just figure it out. The situations come and you figure it out. You ask people that you trust, okay? So I think 30% is a good number to allocate for somebody in their mid-50s that hasn't done a lot of savings up until this point, okay? So let me kind of bring this home, and the last point that I think about is what we're doing to add value, what Dan's thinking about, like, how do I add value? How do I package that value? How do I get people to think positively about me so they'll write me a check? How do I provide that value? And I think because there's this heaviness over what people are thinking about, what they're exposed to. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I said, Peter Diamandis said no more than 10 minutes of news per day. That includes even an election day. I watch no news coverage of the election the night of, even the morning of. I watch less than 10 minutes of it, right? Somebody will text me some point who the president is, what state did this, what state did that. So be very, very careful of what goes in, or you're going to be influenced by people that want your money or want power. But one of the things I think about, what people want when they associate with us, your businesses, you as your businesses, they want to be taken from the now to a better future. So just think about that as you're meeting with people. All really people want to have right now in this crazy complex world, at least for the next couple of weeks, is they want somebody to have a conversation with them to take them from the now, which seems uncertain, to a better, more exciting future. And as leaders, we need to do that by telling a vivid story, like crazy vivid story about what that future will look like with them if they engage with you and if they engage in your business. And just keep taking people from the now to the future, from the now to the future, just keep them focused on the future. And I think if you do that, people will engage with you. They'll at least have another conversation with you. They'll at least ask you the follow-up question, Rock, how do you do that? How does your business do that? What's your process for that? How much do you charge for that? They'll ask some sort of follow-up question saying, how do I get to that better future with you that's out there? So that's the question I want to just leave you with today. And Kim, I think what I'll do is maybe do the overtime now, because Gale's tribute took us a little long, and we won't have a lot of time if we did a breakout session. We'd only have a couple minutes. Why not just for now, what I'll do is do the overtime. Everybody stay on until 8:30, don't leave. But Kim, take everybody off mute, and I'll just open it up for questions. And if anybody has anything they want to challenge me on, I welcome that, or just any additional comments, I welcome that as well. So just be real good. Kim, take everybody off mute and just chime in if you will, or take yourself off mute and just chime in on any thoughts that you had on anything that I shared. I'll just take any questions.
Well, Rocket, one of the things I always appreciate is the comment about people who are unemployable, because everybody who's in here is unemployable. Mm-hmm. That entrepreneurial thinking. One of my comments years ago was, if you're not reaching for your dreams, you're simply helping someone else achieve them. How do you connect with someone who, they've lost a job and they're not getting rehired, so they start a business, but they're not the right person to be in business? How do you talk to them? How do you break it to them gently that you really need to get a job.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. You guys remember Kim? Kim Lowe from the cupcakes that she used to bring in?
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't talked to Kim in a while. She texts me every once in a while. And I'm just going to read you a text she sent me just totally out of the blue, okay? And I don't think she'll mind if I did this. She says, Rock, I was thinking back on our conversation when you said to me, Kim, your job is not to solve everyone's problem, but this is in quotes, but to be a beacon of hope and optimism. I forgot that for a while and I learned that the hard way. However, I'm back on the right path now and working to 10x my life. Yes. So that pops into my head, Tim. Sometimes we just can't solve everybody's problem.
Right.
What we can do is be a beacon of light, do everything right, so people would want to follow or listen to our message. But sometimes they're just not ready or they're not in the right season, and you got to let them find that themselves. And as much as you want to solve and I want to solve everybody's problem, sometimes it's just not meant to be. And you got to let them figure that out on their own. That might sound a little harsh, but if you do it out of love, and everybody knows I do this out of love, you'll get a text back from somebody like Kim and saying, I get it. I appreciate it. I don't even remember saying that to her, but you know, she put in quotes, so obviously I did. What do you think about that?
Like it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't solve everybody's problems, but just be a beacon of light. And hopefully that light will shine and give them a pathway that they can move forward at their pace and in their season, in their way, that makes sense for their situation.
Well, and you said something that really hit a key. In recognition, there's healing. Until the person recognizes, then there's nothing we on the outside can do. We can look in and see how they can help them. We give them all the advice in the world. But until the person themselves recognizes the need to move forward, the need for the education, then they're shut off. And it's just.
And sometimes it's just to be there. I have a friend of mine that lost his sister. I think she committed suicide. They're not really sure. But anyway, it was a sudden surprise and he lost his sister. And I didn't know what to do. And he was kind of just clamoring up about it. And I just ended up going over to his house. And I've never done this before, but we just sat there for 2 hours and watched TV. And typical guy for him, we didn't say anything to each other. I didn't know what to say to him, honestly, but I just wanted to be there for him. And so sometimes the answer to that question, Tim, is just to be there for somebody. Like if my friend Ray wanted to say something, I would have said something. He didn't want to say anything. So, but I could tell it was just a part of the healing process, just to have a companion or a friend alongside of him while he was going through some challenges. So maybe, Tim, the answer is you do nothing but just be there. And if he has a question or just feels like he has a good friend to go through this process with him with. Yeah.
Rock, I have a question for you.
Yes, Scott.
Something you said last week really hit me. You know, in this pandemic, you know, we're stuck in front of our computers. And one thing you said was that people are clamoring for your mind and for your wallet. And obviously the media has been shooting the right and the left with the election. And, you know, there's been a lot of money on campaigns trying to influence you one way or another. I get hit by a lot of, you know, I've listened to Tony Robbins, and there are many real estate coaches. And at the end of the day, they're looking for your mindset and your wallet. How do you know, you are one of the most positive people that I know. How do you weed yourself through that, throw the trash on the pile and decide how to keep your mindset so positive? What, you know, how do you take this seminar like Live to Lead or Global Leadership Summit and choose those rather than the barrage of other opportunities that are thrown at you?
Yeah, so you asked the question. I normally don't share this, but you asked, and if it's too deep for some people, and my apologies up front, but Scott, you asked. So some people are saying this is the most important decision, you know, this election is the most important decision you'll ever make in your entire life. And I don't really believe that. I don't believe it's the most important decision. I think for me, so Scott, you asked, for me, I'm not telling this is for everybody else. For me, the most important decision I make every day is to wake up and follow Jesus. So I do that, I'm in a good place. Who the president is really doesn't have that much impact on my life. Candidly, for my business, for the business, change is really good. If the president changes every 4 years and changes all the tax regulations, state planning regulations, investment regulations, it forces people to come in and have conversations with people like myself. So that sort of change is really, really good for our business. And that's the way that I approach it and look at it. But who the president is, other than almost like watching a reality TV show, I just don't look at it as having that much bearing on my personal life. I'm very confident in what I want, where I'm going, who I'm impacting, and that stuff is just off to the side. How do I pick the podcasts and stuff that I listen to? I used to go really, really broad, Scott. Now I just go deep on a couple people. I love John Maxwell. I love Craig Crushell. There's just certain people that they just resonate with me, and I just listen to them and their new messages over and over and over. Instead of trying to go shallow, you know, I go deep on maybe 5 or 10 speakers that really speak to me. So I just feel my compass is true north, and do I make mistakes? I fall down. Look, this isn't about Rock being perfect. I am far from that. But I just get up and I just keep going forward. And I just have fun along the way.
So Rock, if I can inject something here, and you could probably, relate to this. I'll tell you a brief story. I got to know this Japanese couple. They both passed away. He was 104 years old and she was in her 90s. They were married for 70 years. And I got to talking to them, and they were sharing some very intimate stories about the past and about their brothers, and they were first generations of Japanese coming into the United States, and how their brother seen the Hiroshima bomb go off, and how their son died of lung cancer, and he was a fireman in Chicago, and all these tragic events of their lives, and how they just stayed so positive and upbeat through their entire lives. As well, how did you do that? And I don't know the exact saying of the Japanese, but there's not much you could do about it. Mm-hmm. And that's how the Japanese philosophy is that there's not much you could do about it. Mm-hmm. And I thought about that. I'm going, well, that's really simplistic.
Yeah, but it's good.
But it just resonated with me so much. So regardless of current events, regardless of your political views, regardless of who dies in your daily lives, because death affects you. But if you come to the philosophy, there's not much you could do about it, and so you don't carry that baggage on your shoulder, yeah. And I'm sure you could relate to that.
Yeah, definitely.
You just go on. You go on with your life, and you don't carry that, because I've seen people get burdened with their loved ones that died, and they just, you could tell that that burden is on their shoulders so drastically. Yeah. But if you go with the philosophy, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, real quick. One of the questions I ask people when I see them carrying that, I say, how long are you going to carry that around? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? And I can tell they're carrying something, and then you can get to it. And they're like, well, how long are you going to carry it around? Like, make a decision. Are you going to carry it around for a week, a year, 10 years? You're going to die with that? Just make a decision, but don't carry this heavy weight and wonder why your life is different than other people's lives that are out there, right? So it's 8:32, and I need to end things. I'll stick around and answer any questions. I love having these philosophical questions with you folks, but I want to give you an opportunity. So let's get a hold of Dan. Dan put his information in the chat room. Let's get a hold of Dan. Let's really grow his business. Let's grow all of our business. Let's do everything we do today in honor of Gale. Like, Gale was a hard worker. Let's just work super hard today. Get that next client, next prospect, next whatever patient for Gale. I think that's a great way to honor who she is and for her. So thank you everybody for being a part of Freedom One. Thank you, Jordan. I'm sorry I did a lot of the talking today. Cody's hunting. He got a deer. He's looking for his deer. So hopefully he'll come back with a great story next Thursday about his deer hunting experience. If you don't like deer hunting, then he's not deer hunting. He's doing something else. But if you want to stick around, let's just have a little conversation for a little while. I'd be happy to do that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Carol, for Gale like you did. That was a great video. We appreciate you. Matt, why don't you unmute yourself? Matt, why don't you tell a little story about our interaction that we've had over the last several weeks, because I think that's really helpful. And what I'm going to encourage you to do is be authentic and don't hold back.
Okay, so Rock made me an offer after I made my presentation, and he said, Matt, are you open for some feedback? And that's code for, I'm going to hit you upside the head with a baseball bat, which is okay because I got a hard head, so I'm okay with that. And it was really, really, I reversed and told Rock a story that I'm an old hockey goalie, and the reason I love when someone invites feedback is because that's, you know, if you were a hockey player and you scored a goal on me on a breakaway and you would think, oh, I know how to beat Matt every time, and you don't know that I'm going to go back and talk to a mentor and say, what do I have to do so next time you come in, I'm going to stop you. So I love that, and so he did, and it did sting. Because he asked me to really, he challenged me on something that, you know, shoot, I wrote a book on it using a phrase and just to chew on it. So my one bite at a time phrase was challenged, and I really appreciate it because it made me look differently at it. And I have actually made a little switch to it, Rock. It is really sort of cool. And I've changed it to say, you know, how do you eat a elephant-sized meal? One bite at a time, of course. And you have a big plate of something you're going to try to eat, you know, you got to eat it one bite at a time. So I'm working on it, and I'm just working on it. And number one, I just say thank you because you didn't hold back, and you just said, hey, I want to make you better. And I know you did it out of compassion, and that really, although it hurt for the moment, I am Italian with thick skin, and it's okay. Okay, I know that it's gonna. You know what? I've been told that, you know, I don't have any hair. Did you know that, Rock? Hey, who cares? Hair's overrated, right? I don't know. Anyway, so thank you. And that's, I think if you invite feedback, be prepared to accept the feedback that hurts.
What I did with Matt is I had a really bold conversation, and then I let him process it for 3 or 4 days, and I just gave him a call back after he pulled the needle out of my voodoo doll that he had in me, and my back would feel better. No, just kidding. So anyway, I called back 3 or 4 days later, just helped him process through it to the next level. And I think that was really, really helpful. And my encouragement to be a part of this community is that we all help each other. We all step up and step in or lean into each other's businesses that we can really, really help them, even though it'll sting sometimes. There's been times where people have given me feedback and advice, and I'm like, screw you, who are you? And the more it stings, as I look back, the more I realize they're really right. Like they were onto something, and it's been really helpful. So people have reached out and helped me and been a big part of my life. And I would just encourage others and encourage you to come back to me and help me become a better speaker, a better presenter, a better leader. Anything you have for me, I welcome it. Jordan is counting my ums and ahs and you knows and likes. My word is right. My transition word is right. So Jordan's counting my transition words as I speak today. But I want to get better, so I invite people into my life to get better. So Matt, thanks for sharing that. It's a good story about doing that.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Brock, I was going to say, I can tell your compassion because you actually called me back. That was very interesting. When someone makes you think about the time you've ever criticized somebody or given them some advice, and then you leave it. When you come back and say, I want to let you process it, what did you think? Then you gave me a chance to respond, as opposed to someone just giving the feedback in the moment. It is. So that was really helpful. And I'm going to remember that myself when I'm trying to go back and saying, if you challenge somebody on an idea, come back and then listen to what they have to say about what you said. So thank you for that. That was a good lesson for me.
You're welcome. Who else has anything?
Rock, I wanted to thank you again for challenging me. For all of you, Rock calls me all the time and sends me text messages, and he you know, he tries to put a little burr in the saddle, I guess to everybody, including you, Matt. You know, Rock said to me, you know, Scott, you ought to get your license in Wisconsin, and Scott, you ought to invest in real estate. And you know, we all have our philosophies, we all have our situations, and, you know, he likes to push me a little bit more, a little bit out of my comfort zone. And he called back several days later, and he basically said, Scott, you know, everybody has their situation, but how do you put it? His job is to lift everybody up, and sometimes we need to be taken out of our comfort zone, and if nothing else, to make you think differently, because we all get nice and comfortable and warm, and sometimes we need to be shaken up a little bit. And I appreciate you a lot.
Well, when I work with the entrepreneurs and they're paying me, I get really bold with them. Gilbert, who I spoke about in my presentation, when I met with him, his residual income was like 10,000. And he's putting his business plan together for next year. Now his residual income starting January 1st will be 625,000. And it's just by having some really, really bold conversations and with people. So I know that it works to get people to think. I don't want people to play my game. I want them to play their best game. And sometimes we can see people in a light that they can't see themselves. And all we got to do is just light the path. So always know that. I don't want you to play my game. I don't want you to, Scott, I don't want you to buy real estate if it's not your deal. But I want you to play your best game that God has, you know, put you on this earth to impact other people's lives to do that.
Sure. One of the questions I asked you, you know, is about content of people that you listen to. And, you know, Grant Cardone, I know that you know him. He's a real intense, you know, 10 times your business, you know, go at it. And sometimes it's like a freaking fire hose. And some people, you know, Matt and I were on a call the other day and we were talking about social media, and Matt says, whoa, you know, it's like a fire hose coming at me. That's kind of like Grant Cardone, or we have this real estate coach, Tom Ferry. He's just like in your face. And a lot of people can't handle that. I take it with a grain of salt. I take it.
So here's the deal.
It goes with a grain of salt.
No, it goes back to big problems, big money. You got to be able to take the stuff that's coming at you with a fire hose, and you'll get the big money. If you want something to spoon feed you with a teaspoon every hour, a little sugar, so you're happy, you're going to have little money. You got to be able to take that, filter it out, but you got to take the big doses, because that's how you get the big money. That's getting you ready to take on the big problems, because the big problems, you're going to get 3 big problems all at one time. You don't get one at 9 o'clock, one at noon, and one at 3 o'clock. You get them all together. Like I was on the phone with one of these guys I was talking to, and Kristen came in and she's handed me a piece of paper. She said, I got an emergency. You got to get off the phone. Okay. I don't get the piece of paper. Hey, I want to let you know a vendor got things done early and less than budgeted. You got to get off the phone. You don't get those as the CEO. Scott, you get the ones you got to get off the phone. Here's what I did. I'll share this with you. And he was actually, for this one client, it happened twice. I have a relationship, so I felt comfortable doing it. The last word he said, I let hang in my brain. So I hung up with him. I got back 5 minutes later, and that exact last word that he was saying before I left, I never told him about the situation. I never told him about the emergency. I just came back to that exact word that he said and continued on. And then Kristen came back. I told her how to solve it. It wasn't working. She came back. I had to hang up again with this guy. I remembered the exact same word, and I just picked up. And I made comment to that. He goes, I was really impressed with that. And the reason I'm able to do that is I'm used to dealing with big problems. I'm used to dealing with fire hoses coming at me. And you just train your brain when you're working with a client to be really focused, to be really on it. They don't care about your problems. They only care about their problems. And I just hung on that, just continued on. And when you're in a restaurant, the waiter, waitress going to come and interrupt you. When you're with a client, their phone's going to ring. Oh, it's my daughter. I got to take it. And they're going to come back. And if they come back and you say, well, where was I? They're like, I'm paying you. You tell me where you were, right? To do that. So Scott, you got to be able to handle that fire hose of stuff. Get really good at it.
So what you're saying is embrace the fire hose.
embrace the fire hose, because if you're going to make big money, you're going to get big problems, and you're going to get them all at the same time, not piecemeal throughout the day. Who else? Anybody else? One more last one. We got quite a few people still on here. Just unmute yourself and happy to answer. Marvin, how are you absorbing all of this? What's going through your mind? I love your take on this stuff, Marvin, because you're a Maxwell friend as well.
Rock, I really liked your first assertion, big problems, and I just kind of worded it, create the opportunity for big money. Big problems don't initially create big money, but they create the opportunity for big money. Small problems create the opportunity for small dollars. And I appreciated that. And I began to reflect on some of the big problems of this year have been precisely the things that have created economic opportunity for me.
Yes.
And so I thought that was really good. The other thing is the confidence comes from knowing I don't know the answer, but I'll get the answer. And it reminds me of something Maxwell says, and that is, to every problem, there is always an answer. And it's a mindset shift. You know, there's an answer to every problem, no matter what the problem is, no matter what the unanswered question is, there is always an answer. And so I think as a leader, we can add that to that. Confidence comes from knowing there is always an answer and I'll get there.
Yeah.
And I may not get there alone, but I'll get there perhaps through someone else, through tapping into someone else, through my own fortitude, but there is an answer and I'm getting it. So yeah, good stuff.
And actually, Marvin, you were the help. So let me take that. So Zach's, I got a phone call with Zach's at 1 o'clock today, and he's in our program. We're helping him find a job. I don't know many pastors that are looking for jobs, but you know what I do? Is part of the answer is I'll get you connected with other pastors that may know other pastors that are looking for jobs. And so I don't know that, but I connected Zach's with you. He's been to your church, you're following you online, and you've been in communication with him, and you're part of my solution to the problem of getting him a job, right?
Wow. Yeah. Good stuff. Good
stuff. Awesome. All right, guys, thank you very much. Gals, thank you very much. And just in honor of Gale, let's just work really, really hard today. Appreciate all of you very, very much. Have a fantastic weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care, Kim. Bye, Ken. Steve, Dan.